Simon, we had a really good trip out last weekend and there was a little small oil leak which isn't going to take long to fix, is it?
It wasn't going to take long to fix, but now it's going to take a long time, potentially.
Oh. One project that I'm working on for Misterton to make it a bit more warm and cosy is hatch covers. Hatch covers for inside the boat to stop so much wind getting in and to make it look, as Nate would say, a little bit posher. I'm also going to practice and check that my sewing machine still works because the last person to use it was Nate. And it's going to be a shame if I turn up tomorrow with a broken machine. So let's see what happens. And let's hope that this third attempt at making the hatch cover actually works.
So on the cylinder heads, this bit takes the oil from these pipes and pushes it into the valve gear and keeps them going quite well. These were the bits that were leaking. I sort of took them out, cleaned them up. I put this one back in and was doing it up and I over tightened it and I've snapped off this bit here.
Oh. And
that is sitting inside the cylinder head there. You can just see the little circly bit.
Oh, yes.
So that's broken off.
Well, can't you just pull it out?
No, because all these bits are in the way.
The first attempt is over here. In my sewing cupboard. Here it is. That was just completely the wrong size, didn't work. My second attempt is unpicked and back in my sewing box here. Because it was so rubbish, I unpicked the whole thing and put it away again.
You can get a special screw extractor tool which you wind, it kind of grips it and you wind it backwards and takes the bit out. So I'm trying to make the hole in the center as big as I can to give it the most grip. But if I can't get it out, the only way to get it out is to take the whole cylinder head off because there's not enough room to slide that whole rocker shaft out. That's in the way, so I'd have to take apart half the engine at the top to do it, which I'd really rather not do. It would be a lot of work for a silly mistake, so I shouldn't have ever tightened it, but anyway.
But you do like tight things?
I do, yes, but on this occasion I should have just left it a bit loose.
Oh well, let's hope the screw extractor tool works.
Yeah, hopefully.
And this is what I am making for my third attempt. And as you can see, it's got a lot more thought into it. The teacher suggested this work and she gave me some templates to use, which was great. I made a little one of my own, a little kingfisher, because there's a kingfisher lives by our barge. And of course we've got herons and swallows, and the colours go with the colours in the boat. So this, attempt number 3, I'm really hoping will work out well and make Misterton look just that little bit posher, as Nate says, trying to make our barge look posh. Simon has come with some very exciting news, I think. He says I'm going to be impressed. Let's see if I am. What's this news, Simon?
I don't think you'll find it that exciting, but I've managed, by progressively drilling that out, I've managed to tap in a little hex key that I had and see I can turn it so I can actually get the broken bit out, which means I'll still have to repair it, but it means I won't have to take the engine apart to get it out.
Oh yay, so that means our Christmas trip might be back on yet.
Yeah, and the reason that that's the bit that snapped off, and the reason that I drilled it bigger and bigger was just to get something, the bigger a thing I could get in there to grip onto it, the better really. So I managed to get that out, which was quite good.
So yet again, another example of where size matters.
Yeah, you'd say something like that. But look, I've got blisters and cuts from doing it, because it took ages drilling into steel with this, and progressively bigger drills, but it's kept me out of your hair all afternoon, isn't it?
Yes, and you're still my hero. So, I've been at my sewing class again today and I've been working on the hatch covering, and today I finished quilting it and we've cut it to size. So there it is, and what I've got to do now is make these into the binding to go around the edge. So it's going to be edged with the orange, which is the orange of the wool, which I think will look pretty stunning. And Simon's trying to work out how on earth we're going to attach it to the ceiling. I'm not sure he thinks my poles were a good idea. He doesn't like my Velcro's double-sided idea, which was actually his idea. But he's got a concept and he's working on it. So watch this space. This should hopefully seal the draft, keep it warmer, and look quite artistic too, in keeping with the colours in the room. So one thing I noticed when we were out on the river and I was doing the ropes is that some of the mooring bollards are quite hard to get our big ropes around, and I'm not quite sure why that is. But having a conversation with Simon, I've discovered why.
Well, are you able to come around here with the camera?
Yeah.
Have a look at this one. Holes. This is one of the old ones that was welded on up in Goole, so my plan is to replace it with a pair of better ones.
Wow.
Which are going to sit about here.
Yeah.
And then we'll have 2 bollards like they have on some of the bigger barges in Europe. And we'll just be able to get bigger ropes on it.
And we'll be able to use it easier to pull the boat in, won't we?
I think so, because you'll be able to take multiple turns around it. You remember how when we did our course, if you take a few turns of rope around a bollard, you can hold it really easily.
Yeah,
whereas
and that
this
one, it's hard.
is tiny. And also it's falling apart, so as Nate would say, it's had its life.
So you're going to make some new bollards.
Yeah,
Will they be ready before Christmas?
I think so. I might put a ribbon on it and get it.
I'm not having that as a Christmas present. That's not a Christmas present, is it? Not really. Just finishing the last bit of hand stitching. So you see I've pinned down the edges and I've made some nice mitered corners. And I'm just going to sew that all the way around to finish this off. And then it's ready for Simon to create some kind of miracle and make it stay up on the ceiling, because he's got loads of ideas. Look at the size of this that Simon's going to cut. What is it? It's from the old boat moving trolley, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's one of the old uprights. I've already used some of it to make the exhaust pipe for Misterton coming out the side of the hull. So we're reusing it slowly. It's probably about half a ton of quite good steel. So
you're going to cut it?
Yeah, do you want to see if...
Let's see what happens.
See if it works. I've never cut anything this big before on this. That's why we wear shoes with steel toe caps. That's quite a neat cut.
I made short work of it as well, eh?
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Carbide teeth, so it produces all these metal chips but doesn't get very hot, although the sparky bits are quite hot because I just burnt myself. But yeah, it's pretty amazing, and it leaves quite a clean cut.
So those 2 bits of metal are ready now to be turned into bollards for Misterton.
Yeah, I'll have to do a bit of prep work and drilling and stuff like that, but we can do all that.
Look forward to seeing more of it. Simon's been carrying on working on the bollards project, and I haven't filmed any of it, and he's done so much. He's so naughty. I would have liked to have seen it, but he is making fantastic progress, and he's going to tell us all about it.
A bit like Blue Peter. This is a bit of the tube that we cut earlier. I've cut a circular bit and welded it on. We've got these pins which go there, which I made out of this metal, which it was one of the tools we used for assembling our pontoon floats the one we put on Coup Club. We've got 2 of them, so I just thought, oh, that's handy, I'll chop them up. One thing I had to do was grind off, these are galvanised, and you have to grind off the galvanised coating before you weld it, because if you weld galvanised metal, you can get zinc poisoning, which actually can make you quite poorly. So this is the bit that's going to go on to Misterton. This is another part of the boat moving trailer. I've had to cut a slight curve here. I measured it with Josh earlier on, and an even bigger wonky line there, because of course Misterton, being almost 100 years old, isn't straight. So I'm going to try that out tomorrow and see if it fits. I have cleaned it up and kind of smoothed off some of the edges, so that we don't catch our fingers on it. And also, rounded edges are better when you're painting metal. If you've got sharp edges, that's where it'll wear through. So this is all a little bit of a make it up as you go along type project. I've done the pins on this one. I'm going to add them onto this one tonight. We'll get this lined up. I'll make sure this is going to fit where it's going to go, and then I'll weld these 2 bits on. And the reason I'm doing it that way is that this stuff is all very heavy. I don't know how heavy that is. Do you want to try lifting it?
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but I'd say it's probably about 4 kilos. So, if you've got 8, it adds up. It's probably about 20 kilos worth.
I'm going to work on my project now. I've watched all their projects, and I'm going to make another hatch cover, but this one is for the bedroom.
You can see the shiny steel and then the dull silver grey of the galvanised coating, so that's what I'm getting rid of. The other ones, but I've just smoothed off that outer end, and then this end I've cleaned off the galvanised and just put a little bit of a bevel on it.
Do you not need to take the rest of the galvanised stuff off?
No, it's not where I'm heating it up, so it's just this bit here where I'm going to weld it. That'll get hot, but it won't produce fumes or anything. And I'll probably open the back door when I do this.
I'm going to cover the whole of this area that I've tacked around, and stars and shooting stars and glitzy bits, but I've got to do it all by hand because it's that sort of sewing, so it may take some time, but hopefully it will look fantastic. I'm not sure, but we'll see.
It's not finished, but I've tack welded these onto the base bits, and now I'm just going to see what it looks like, in case it looks wonky. The angles aren't perfect, but then the whole boat's almost 100 years old, so nothing's really straight on it anymore, so we'll just have to live with it. You can take a turn under there and that little pin stops it from coming round. And then the idea is that you can take a number of turns round there and then just hold it. And that little pin guides the rope round, and then all these turns give you so much friction you can just easily hold the boat with one hand, even with the engine going forward.
Chip off that slag, Simon.
difficult, but I'm going to have to go around it again anyway, so that's alright.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Hello.
We're cutting Velcro strips to go on top of the insulation. Going to stick it down and then we're going to put Velcro onto that. Nate is being encouraging. And there it is in all its glory. Then we're going to try it on that. And then we're going to see how much of it hangs down and whether we need more Velcro to make it flatter or what we need. But should we give it a go?
Yeah.
So far, so good. It's looking all right. It's not sagging. It's fitting. It's the right size. And yeah, I'm secretly rather thrilled at the moment.
I want to paint this bit under here because that would be very awkward to get to once it's done. But we won't paint down here because that's where it's going to be welded. But I figure the heat won't travel up so badly. So it's this underside bit here. And then once you've done that, you can stick it back in there and then paint all of this and all of these with that black epoxy stuff. Because that's meant to go better on slightly rusted surfaces. These are going to have ropes around them anyway, so it'll probably wear off. But because it's, and then we'll paint this with the kind of black paint that we did the sides of the boats with later on.
Painted bollards waiting to dry. I think they look quite good. I don't think they look as good as my hatch cover. That looks pretty good, but these look good, and it'll be interesting trying out doing the ropes on them, and hopefully it will help me stop the boat a little bit easier because it was a bit tricky with the new engine. It goes a lot faster.
Okay, we are attempting to weld the bollards onto the boat. Stage one is just to build up a couple of low spots with some weld, and then hopefully it'll fit a bit better, and then we'll get on to welding the bollards themselves.
So Simon, what's the problem we've just encountered welding this bollard on?
It's burnt a hole through using the larger welding rods, which means the metal maybe isn't as thick as I thought it was. So I'm going to try a smaller welding rod and see what that does. So it won't put quite so much heat into it. So we'll give that a go. Welding bollards on, the bits on day 2. Taken longer than I thought, like many jobs. Anyway, we've got most of this done. welded up, and what I need to do is, this side's difficult to see, it's proof harder than I thought because the steel's not as thick as I thought, so I'm using some different size rods, but it's building it up slowly, but yeah, getting there.